Let me see what's going on at the Red Eye Loft. Well, folks, I just got done mowing the yard, trimming, blowing everything, making everything look nice. Now let's talk about feed for this Tippler Talk Tuesday. We've talked about feed in the past. We've talked about the different percentages of protein. We've talked about different brands from Browns, Higgins, Lizzie Mays, Baden, Higgins, whichever feed you use. But no one ever talks about measuring how much feed do you give your birds. If they're breeding, of course, you want to have as much feed in the trough for them so they can feed the babies. But if you're flying, do you weigh your feed? For example, right here I have enough for 40 birds for one day. 40 birds for one day, that's just under 3 cups. About 2 and 2/3. 2 2/3 cup. You can see it there, it's marked. 2 2/3 cup for 40 birds. In this container I have for 20 birds. In this cup I have 20 birds. And it's right over the 1 cup, well over the 1 cup. I filled it up. I have enough serving for 20 birds right here. If I'm flying, or even if they're perching, I'll give them 1 tablespoon per bird. If you don't know, or if you do know, that's okay too. However, a lot of people don't know. A pigeon only needs 1 day serving, 1 tablespoon. I know some guys that give less, some guys that give more. Depends on how they're flying and what they're doing with their birds. But I start out with, when I'm settling them and I'm flying them around the loft, 1 tablespoon each bird. That's what gives me 40 birds, 20 birds. This is also 20 birds, and I put them in different containers so you can see the difference. It may look like it's more here, but it's exactly the same amount there is in this container. You can see the height. All right, so when I measure out the feed, we don't just give, for example, we don't just give 1 tablespoon not properly measured. For example, this is a tablespoon improperly measured. You see how it's flowing over the top? It's not even with the spoon. That is not correct. If I give 1 tablespoon like so, and it's under, that's incorrect as well. What you want to do, what I do, I grab a flat, nice metal object like this, and I go ahead and scrape it across. That's exactly 1 tablespoon per bird. Look at this. Evenly in the spoon, very nice. It's not overflowing and it's not under. So know how to measure. That's 1 tablespoon per bird. And I go ahead and I separate my feed. Once I achieve the amount that I want, I'll make a mark on my cup. And if I'm flying 20 birds, I go up to that mark. Easy to pour in the trough. You measure, 1 quick scoop. You get it to the line that you put the 20 bird serving. That's it. You can make notches on here. 20, 40, 30, and so on. So know how much feed you're giving your birds. Now, this feed right now that I'm feeding my flyers, a lot of guys would not feed this. This is what you call conditioner. A conditioner and a breeder feed. This feeder conditioner feed, I give it to them just to keep them in condition. Or if I'm breeding, it has a lot of different seeds in there. But I also add in the water a supplement. Now, some guys don't like spending money. Some guys don't like spending money on products, and I get that. They want to try to go the cheapest route. There's nothing wrong with that. But I honestly believe that everything has a purpose. And of course, the products are made for the birds, and it could be overpriced sometimes. I feel like this also brings something good to the table. Anytime you add something else for the birds' performance, can't hurt them. Some guys go with less and do well. That's okay too. But I'm here to tell you that if I'm gonna give my birds a breeder conditioner and they're lacking something, I'll go ahead and give them this extra. And this is a 6-in-1 supplement blend for pigeons. 6-in-1. It's got all the ingredients in there. I'm not going to go through it. Or maybe I will. In this case, it has prebiotic, probiotic, vitamin C booster, multivitamin supplement, energy booster, and electrolytes and minerals. What more can you give your birds? You could give them a 12% feed, 11% feed, the cheapest you can find out there, and add this in the water or in the feed, and now you're doing something. You're adding value to the feed. So whichever way you go, whether it's cheap feed or expensive feed, you know, you get what you put into it. I believe that sometimes your birds will not perform if you give them cheap feed. Sometimes, even if you give them expensive feed, they won't perform. Again, you have to see what works well for your loft. Does your loft stay clean? Are your birds healthy? Do you maintain a good exercise program? Or do you just fly them once in a while and then you expect them to fly all the time? Or do you fly them all the time and they just don't want to fly anymore because they're worn out? Birds get tired too, you know. They don't perform week after week after week after week after week consistently. Sometimes birds come into form. I've read that with racing pigeons, they found that come into form every 3 weeks, so to speak. If you keep that regimen, that schedule of feeding, training, and flying, 3 weeks they do well, and then for 3 weeks they fall out of form. It happens. I've seen it. I've experienced it at my brother's loft. But again, for those out there that are watching today, we're talking about measuring. Know how to measure your feed. Get cups with measuring indicators on there. Or if you have a cup like this, and you don't have anything to measure, to go by, use a spoon, measure, put 20, 30, 40 spoons, mark it, and there you go. You're set for the next day. Just pour and go. And keep them like that for a while until you see how the birds are performing, and then if they're flying good for you, leave it that way. If they're not performing well for you, you may want to increase a little bit the feed and play with it. It's all about adjusting. So for this Tippler Talk Tuesday, know how to measure. Measure your feed. Peace. Here we go. Coming back at you. Not from the Red Eye Loft, but from Puerto Rico. Aguadilla, Puerto Rico, next to Rincon. That's what we're visiting. We're staying in Aguadilla. I have the family back here, enjoying themselves at the pool, right here, in this beautiful Airbnb home, right here in Aguadilla. Check it out, folks. And although I've been seeing a few pigeons around here, not too many. Few of them fly by. I want to reach out to the guys out there who are watching my videos. If you're in Puerto Rico and you're a pigeon mumbler like I am, give me a holler. 321-794-7284. Para todos que están viendo los videos míos, que están aquí en Puerto Rico, te voy a pedir una cosa. Llámame, a ver si lo podemos comunicar para hablar sobre las palomas que tienen aquí en Puerto Rico. Verás, 321-794-7284. Llámame. Y